Everybody, Christopher Vogt here. So we're gonna walk through the garden and do an update. Hope you enjoy. Alright guys, this is gonna be a long endeavor. So it's gonna be a long update. We're in the heart of the garden, so let's go. There are new 60 peat moss basils all through the garden. And it took a lot of work, but definitely it's gonna take and grow nice and lush. Alright, so first up we have cinnamon basil, sweet basils, having heart. I did an update on some herbs and what I ate and all the teas, but I deleted it just because it was a week old. So here's some. Purchased 3 stalks in 1 pot of basil, sweet basil from. They were very lush, very large. So what I did is split them in 3, and then they've turned out. This is just one of them, but this is the other one. Here's purple basil. I trellised everything because the tops are so heavy with basil. Here's this. It's all sweet basil, and it's another 3 of that one. So when I purchased these 2, was there 2 there? Yep. 2 cinnamon basils. They had flowers all through their tops. I made some good tea with it, but they were massive. But now they're even more massive. There's about 50 bags of slow release nitrogen cow manure in this garden. Alright, so here's another cinnamon. I know I say it weird. Here's a winter theme. It's a herb. It's grown from seed. We'll go through that row, but here's Thai. So this is another one I purchased, but I'm sure it wasn't too it wasn't expensive, that's for sure, for the amount of size. This one also had blooms when I purchased it. These are about a month and a half old, these 3 plants. Here's lemon palm. It's a type of mint family. Here's another one. These were big when I purchased them too, but they've gotten bigger since they've been in the garden. So there's always that type of, you start on the other side, and by the time you're at the end, you don't weed as good. But definitely weeding helps. I've taken out probably about 6 5-gallon buckets, maybe 2 5-gallon buckets when I weed and take out the borders of the weeds around the garden, and then going in depth and cleaning them out. But that's usually how much I end up with. Sweet basil, which needs to be harvested. Everything needs to be harvested, but here's sweet basil. I grew this from seed, nice and lush. So there's so much basil that I had to plant. I think that's a wildflower. We went through that one. There's another. Okay, another basil winter theme. There's a basil I said there. Actually, another one. This is a wildflower. I haven't seen it bloom yet. There are some types of wildflowers in the batch of seeds that produce early flowers, but I think these ones will get really lush and bring some pollination, I guess. Alright, so here's a nice healthy broccoli, another wildflower, cauliflower, and here's a big wildflower batch. Here's a sweet banana pepper. Oh, sorry. There's a couple on there. I take them off every now and again. But here's another banana pepper. And then another banana pepper, sweet. Tomato grown from seed. There's a couple down there I need to trellis, but so in the rows here, I actually planted in the trenches. When this garden was created, it took a night and day and a night and day. That's how long, and it was that long. But definitely it's growing in some size and doing well. So here's a row of basil. There are 8 different types of basils that were in the seed batch, but one of them did not germinate well. But all the rest of them survived and germinated just fine. So there's quite a bit there. Tomato. Bamboo out. I think it's rooted in. That's crazy, isn't it? Here's some sweet peas. Need to trim back, trellis them up. But here's a gigantic 2 eggplant. We'll just look at this one right now because I can't get to the other side. But giant eggplant. Really, it's giant. No eggplants yet, but there's tons of flowers on them. This is a store-bought Italian oregano. Hopefully it takes there. All the cucumbers, zucchini, and squash all perished because it's too hot, not enough water, and it wasn't seasoned. But that, you know, they didn't make it. I don't know if they didn't like the top trellis, but maybe they would have grown flat. But alright guys, so Italian oregano, I haven't harvested it yet, but it's definitely nice and lush. So here's another large eggplant. Needs to be trimmed at the bottom, but definitely doing well. There are 8 new tomato plants store-bought, so they're in the ground. Roots are getting to know the soil, and they're definitely taken. Really didn't have a choice. I had to get them in the ground because they were drying out too much, but a whole bunch of basil I planted. There's a lettuce. This one's actually, what is it called? Mustard, but they didn't germinate well. More basils. So here what you see are little basil plants. They actually formed by seed just from the plant, so that's pretty cool. Another basil seed. Here's a wildflower. Alright, so here's some wildflowers. They actually do bloom, this type of wildflower. That's the first one to bloom. But these ones, I think the flowers would be a lot bigger. It's not doing so well. Wildflower, definitely a first batch I purchased, but pretty cool. Here's my large, those are two peat moss large flowers, wildflowers. Haven't bloomed yet, but I'm sure they're getting close. This is peppermint. They grew from seed, doing alright. Another basil down there. Mustard chard. So here's another batch of herbs. They're in a mixture of sand and soil and cow manure. These ones were drying out too fast, so they had to get this parsley, and some other. This one actually, peppermint, grew from seed. Wild. It just showed up. Here are more wildflower batches I made. Here's mulberry. I moved them over here because I had to use the trench. It's filled in full. Cow manure. There's wildflower. Here's another mulberry bush. It'll get massive, sure of it. Here's kale. Here's wildflowers again. Jalapenos are growing real well. Here's another wildflower. This is basil, I'm pretty sure of it. Here's another wildflower. So it was a 6-pack. I got 2 of them. They weren't expensive. The 6-packs are a beauty. You get so much what you pay for. Bell peppers all the way down. They're starting to come back after they've been planted, which is a good sign. Here's a wildflower. They actually do have pretty flowers. Here's a stevia plant. I wish I could find more stevia, but it's definitely, since I purchased it maybe 3-4 months ago, it's definitely grown a lot. Here we go. This is a jalapeno. I actually ate one the other day. It was very delicious, but you can see them in here. We'll get lower, but here's another jalapeno pepper. A lot of jalapenos on there. There we go. So here are the 2 okra plants. It's definitely to produce some okras real soon. This was actually a later crop, but I planted it and it got massive. Here's the other seed one. Like I said, it's massive. I don't want to get too in depth. I want to remember where I am. Alright, so here's a bell pepper coming through. I got the wildfire. Here's catnip that probably maybe made it, maybe through the water of the trench. Here's peppermint or basil, one or the other. I think it's peppermint. Okay, so actually I got both pots of the wildflower in the ground. They were very lush, the ones. But they should go through a giant growth spurt because the roots are very established. Asparagus, 2 of them. This is store-bought okra, ready to produce. This big when I got it. Another okra, store-bought. Chamomile German, peppermint, another basil. Basils with a winter theme. I've harvested some from it, but this was grown from seed. So here's some peppermint. It's been transplanted twice and it's starting to kick back and start to grow. Flower and baby peppermint. There were 4 little plant pots that I used for wildflowers, but they got too much water and they didn't come through. But this one, there's 4 of them around here. They're just like that in a way. Alright, so new, I've had this in here for about 2 weeks. It's a habanero pepper. There are habaneros on there, but we'll get a little picture to see the fruit. Here's another habanero, hot pepper. Quite a bit on there. Here's my lemongrass I've had in here for 2 weeks. Starting to root in and grow a little bit. This lettuce is bolted, which they need to be cut, but I guess I'll let them reseed, I guess. Well, there's plenty of flowers on every one, basically. So this is red lettuce, those 2. Well, this one's red lettuce, but the other one is a different type of lettuce. One's getting ready to seed. This one is. But it's definitely healthy. There's a wildflower. There's another, there's actually one there, pretty, but another wildflower. Alright, so here's a whole row of basil. These are pretty spread compared to the other ones, but we'll get down there. So I'll tell you something. This row here is the first row that run off of the water from the house when it rains real heavy. So this row, it's from the house is there, all the water like a stream fast. So these basils aren't labeled. I wrote down on each basil, but they're just growing. This one's a lush. They're all lush. But this was on a trench too. So this is another peppermint, transplanted twice. It was in a trench, and it was an early trench, so it's very nitrogen and too much water at first. But the trenches have definitely grown up. When my trenches were built, it was very deep, and where the plant grows very wide. But over time it rained and made it flat. But filled in the trenches when that happened, and all the soil's mixed in. It makes a good soil. Here's something exciting. A large, well, there's 2 here, but lemon palm. You gotta go around. But they need to be harvested. Here's another lemon palm. Good for tea, and the oils are good, but definitely good for tea, but very lush. So here's some mixture of sweet and hot peppers. You can see the green tops, but I should have planted them a while ago because they're drying out. But these are the lush ones, sorry. There's about 10 of them or something, I don't know. But they're in there, hopefully they take. Like I said, there's basil everywhere. Here's another row. Alright, we're just walking through. Gotta have good feet, I guess. Here's okra. It's been in here for quite a bit. Gotten some okra off of it. Still need to fry them up. And there's a process of spiderweb of an okra flower. Pollination, beautiful flower. There's another okra, pretty large. It's going through the basil. That's it. Sage tree. It has pink flowers when it blooms, but definitely very large. Going mosquito. Alright, so here's some more baby peppers. Like I said, they should have been planted earlier. And let's see where we can go. Alright, so here's some more wildflowers. I'm not sure what those are. Here's another wildflower. That's a wildflower, sorry. Here's more basil. It's a variety. 8 and, just a variety. For the note, I put down another 10 bags of nitrogen cow manure just for erosion, because I had bricks in here and it was keeping the level up on the sand. But I put the manure in last touch and stops that erosion when I take those bricks away. And actually the soil will run off and mix with the nitrogen. Alright, here are 2 plants of chocolate mint. In my opinion, the peppermint is a lot more stronger than the what would it be called? Peppermint. So chocolate mint is stronger than the peppermint because I don't know. But the stems are very edible. Peppermint, their stems are pretty hard, but if you can just look at this mat. So I've been cutting all the tall ones, and actually I have 4 glasses of germinated plants, and I have basil and all sorts of peppermints in the house in the windowsill, and they're all rooting pretty well. So there'll have to be an update for that. So there are some weeds around here, but I picked most of them. And basil, another basil over there. Here's one type of tomato. I think it's a cherry, but it's gonna get very large. All right, I won't stop the camera. Basil, another basil. And this one is what's it called? Maine. It's growing. Like I said, there was 8 different tomato plants. This is purple. I could look at the name, but it's a purple tomato. There's another one. There's quite a bit in here. They were the most lush at the store. Here's a basil. And all these basils are grown from seed. Something toppled it. It could have been a cat maybe. Broke the tomato stake, but we'll get that. Hopefully she kicks back. Here are bell peppers grown from seed. And they're starting to kick back. These are the ones that survived. It really got to the point where there was just so much basil. These are all basil. There's our mustard. More basil. We'll get to the tomatoes, but here's a store-bought tomato, very lush. Very lush. Guys, this is a seeded tomato. It's a variety. And this one, it's about 4 feet tall, but they'll get 10 feet tall if you have a trellis for them, or a stake. Very lush. Or little ones, medium and large. Another seeded tomato. These were created together. These 2 here, but definitely got some good growth to it. Alright, so I don't think I got this one, but I can't walk over there. There's some peppers. Alright, don't fall, Chris. Here is mixed wildflowers. These were in the pot that had a bulb of roots, and they're just going to take over and get massive now. It's got some dead flowers, but they'll come back really fast. Here's a transplanted tomato. It's about 4 feet, 3.5. Tomato goes all the way up. Needs to. The last place I put most of the cow manure soil in my path, but definitely raised the level up, so that's good. The bricks were creating too much moisture but they're definitely a lot happier without the bricks. I never had bricks in my garden, so I took them out. The long one, we got these ones. I don't think she's gonna make it, but tomatoes. These pots here, the planters, they didn't really seed well the seed I put in. I put a variety. But this one, this is a mole flower, Chinese I think, but you should get lush. It was a gift. And some more wildflowers. This one didn't take. This was just filled up with water and the seeds didn't make it. But here's some more variety of flowers. Just try to get them enough water. They need to be in the ground. But here's another garden area, but I trimmed these wildflowers, get massive, and then at the end of the year they produce seeds, and every seed of the flower goes down, and when it gets wet and soil's mixed stuff, it'll come back full the next year. Alright, so this is where the water goes. It starts at the heart of the garden and comes all the way to me, right here. This is my entrance here, the fence. So we're going to test the kumquat, and we're going to tear the bark a little bit and see if they're alive, but we shall see. But I will note that there are lots of tree frogs and toads around the garden, and that's a good benefit. They eat about 100 insects a night. Just one, Google said. Here's some wildflowers that actually made it. There are 3 batches in here. These are in a different part of the house, but when their seeds fall from theirs, they'll start rooting up new plants. There were more in here, but those are the ones that survived. A lot of kumquat branches. We should see if they're alive. It's a little lettuce with a kale. There's some bell peppers. I didn't get to this section here. And here's some, what do they call? So on the seed bags batch, the turnip, I had tons of seeds of those, so we might have to do a bunch of turnips, but there are moles sometimes. At the end of the garden, the moles dig holes and the water went out, but we fixed that problem. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was my garden. It took a while, but we got it all done, and it's definitely going to grow in. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.